So let me turn on my camera. Okay. So let's get started with today's webinar and see and try to understand what is the role of DevOps and what is the role of AWS in DevOps market. So this is the today's webinar agenda, and we'll try to understand what is AWS and how can we leverage our AWS services in DevOps. So in last like a previous session, previous webinar, we discussed about the roadmap to DevOps in 2025. So what all tools we need to learn and what are the trending tools that are available in the market, and all that we discussed in the previous webinar. If you missed that, you can just go to the YouTube of ITTH, and there you can see the roadmap of DevOps in 2025. All right. So today we'll start our discussion with AWS and how can we leverage AWS services in DevOps market. So this is the overall webinar agenda. And in this webinar agenda, we can see we will try to understand what is DevOps, why DevOps, and what is AWS and why these are trending in 2025 in DevOps market. And also we'll try to understand what is cloud computing and its benefits, types of cloud service providers, models, and also introduction to AWS services. We will also try to discuss about few AWS services. And apart from that, we will see how can we utilize like leverage compute and container services in AWS, and also we can run CI/CD pipelines in AWS, and also we'll see IAC, infrastructure as a code service, that is a proprietary of AWS, and also we'll see some real world use cases like uh, when to switch to AWS, why to switch to the cloud platform, and how these cloud platforms are helping us in today's job markets. And also we'll go with a live demo where you can see the demos of AWS services and DevOps related stuff. And also we'll see what is the future of DevOps and AWS. And at the end, we'll go with a Q&A. All right. Now let us quickly start with the introduction part. So first I'll introduce about IT Talent Hub. So why IT Talent Hub? So IT Talent Hub, it's one of the largest independent community of IT professionals in UK, and we are serving in the industry from past 10 years, and we have trained more like hundreds of participants as of now. And our office is located in Ilford, UK, and it's near Queen Elizabeth Lane, and we have over 500 plus community members, and there are many dedicated teams who are working in the background to support the training, networking, and also recruitment. So these are our clients where we actually worked with, and these are our success stories where our students got placed, and we are expecting to be a part of this. And also, why IT Talent Hub? Here at IT Talent Hub, we have many courses like data science, DevOps, and other training courses in the market. And the trainers are from like over 10 plus years of experience, and the curriculums are designed as per UK job market. And as mentioned, like there are dedicated teams who are working in the back end, uh, where they are going to provide you assistance throughout the training and job support, as well as we also have live projects with the startup companies and interview preparation and certification based training, and where we also discuss about certification related stuff, like what are the trending certifications in the market, and also which certifications are suitable as a DevOps engineer. Now, about me as a trainer, I'm Janjirala Kiran Kumar, and I am a subject matter expert working at IT Talent Hub. And I have overall 11 plus years of experience and accredited in various numerous courses. And these are my global certifications where I have cleared my certifications and holding certifications from AWS as well as Azure. So certifications like AWS DevOps Engineer Professional, Solutions Architect Associate, SysOps, Cloud Practitioner, and apart from that, I also hold Cloud Academy certifications, and these are the Cloud Academy certifications that actually I hold. And I'm 4x AWS certified and 1x Azure certified, and also AWS Academy certified trainer. And apart from that, overall, I have delivered 4,500 plus participants, either online and offline trainings. And these are the trainings that I have delivered, like DevOps Engineer Professional. And apart from that, I have delivered trainings on open source tools like Docker, Kubernetes, Terraform, Ansible, GitHub, Jenkins, Maven, and all of this. And apart from that, I also have delivered trainings on fundamental concepts like Linux, Windows, networking, IT, and all of these concepts. So this is about me, and I am just eager to know about you. Like who have joined can please introduce yourself so that I could understand your background and whether you're from IT, non-IT, what is your current role and what are your expectations of this course and all of this. So you can just introduce about yourself based on these pointers.
Hi, I'm Mohammed. I'm based in the UK, and my background is in IT, but not in DevOps. It's in automation.
Okay.
Currently, I'm working as an application analyst, and I have around, in this role, around 6, 7 years of experience. And
Okay.
DevOps, because I'm from automation background, so I have seen in my company there were a lot of movement into cloud side, so I'm interested into that. So basically, moving applications to cloud and how those CI/CD and all these things works. So that's my expectation, and basically I'm looking for a job as well. So probably after this course, I would be looking for something in this DevOps.
All right. Right.
That's what.
Right. So that's great. Great to know about you. Thank you for your introduction. And what about Praveen? Will you please introduce about yourself? A quick introduction is enough. Yeah.
Hi, I'm a student actually,
Okay.
so I'm just want to explore this DevOps.
Okay. Okay. So currently you are a student, right? So you don't have any previous experience.
I work in some application support, but not DevOps or anything cloud or anything.
Okay. So you don't have exposure in DevOps or cloud, right?
Yeah, yeah, yes.
Okay. All right. No problem. So let's quickly get started with the eligibility for a DevOps engineer role. See, actually, regarding DevOps engineer roadmap, we have already discussed in the previous webinar. That video is already posted in IT Talent Hub YouTube channel, where you can go ahead and see like in 2025 what actually we have to do to learn DevOps and how can we land a high paying job. That was the webinar that we have done in the previous session. So if you want to know more in detail about the DevOps roadmap, then you can go ahead and watch that video. Uh, and in this webinar, we will be discussing on like how can we leverage AWS for DevOps. Okay, so nowadays organizations are moving from on-premise to cloud, right? So we have many trending cloud platforms in the market today. So among that, DevOps is very AWS is very trending cloud platform in the market. So we will also see like why it is trending and how AWS was started and what are the different services that are available in AWS to leverage in DevOps. So initially we start our discussion with introduction to DevOps and we'll try to understand what is DevOps actually, and then we will move ahead with other AWS concepts and what are the different services that are available in the AWS to uh, utilize our workloads in cloud. So we will quickly start with eligibility for a DevOps engineer role. So who all are eligible for DevOps engineer role? So anyone who is from either IT or if you are from non-IT background, you both are eligible for DevOps engineer role. And here it's not like only IT IT students have to get into the DevOps role. It's not like that. Even non-IT professionals can also learn DevOps, and we can even work in IT industry. All right. And even fresh graduates, IT professionals who are already working, and software developers, system admins, and support engineers, and also cloud security related professionals, all of these are eligible for DevOps jobs. Right. Now we'll try to understand why DevOps and what is DevOps. Any idea about why DevOps and what is DevOps? Have you heard about these, or uh, anything that you can add if you have some idea about this?
I have a little bit idea, like,
Yeah. Please go ahead. Yeah.
to basically deploy things faster,
Okay.
uh, build faster, and time to market and all these things. Like, it becomes
Build.
easier. Like, when as soon as you check in the code to Git, and it does all this thing from overall, I would say, from dev environment to production environment, error
Okay.
free and all these things. Like, yeah, that's my understanding.
So dev to prod, everything is automated. Right. This is
Yeah,
what you
yeah,
actually understand. Right.
yeah,
Okay. That's fine. So yeah, whatever you mentioned here, that is correct. Like building using automation tools, deploying using automation tools, and also faster time to market. So these are the important and valid points that you have added here. So yeah, apart from that, like, hope you are aware of like a software development lifecycle and how the software development lifecycle is going to help us in developing and deploying the application.
yeah.
All right. So if we talk about SDLC, like this is the structured approach. We can say structured approach to develop and deploy applications. Right. So develop and deploy the applications using a structured approach. Okay. Now there are different steps, right? The different stages of developing a software. Let's say there is one businessman who want to get his own mobile application, right? There is a businessman. Okay, there is a businessman who want to develop his own application and wants to sell some products in the application, through application, right? So in this case, what a businessman can do? Businessman can reach any of the like software companies, or we can say cloud consulting companies, right? Then what companies actually do? They actually take the requirement analysis, and also they will properly plan and document it, and we start designing it, and fourth one will be like start coding it, and then build it, and then uh, test and deploy and operate and also monitor, right? So these are the different stages that are involved in developing and deploying any application, right? It starts with requirement analysis, plan and doc, and design, code, build, test, deploy, and operate and monitor. So this process we generally call it as SDLC, right? So this process we generally call it as SDLC process. And in this SDLC process, we have different models, right? Can you name some models if you are aware of types of SDLC models?
Yeah, basically agile and waterfall. Are you talking about methodology basically?
right? Agile methodology, waterfall, right? So we also have spiral and also V model and many things, right? Apart from that, what are the trending SDLC models? Like waterfall model, it was a basic one, and agile, it is very popular, and most of the application development process involves with this agile process, right? So waterfall, this is a basic one, and agile, which is a dynamic. Okay, so in this basic, the stages, it is like a stage dependent, and there are many demerits of waterfall model, and the changes are not flexible, right? Changes are not flexible. And what about agile process? Is it a good approach with agile?
Uh, Nowadays, most company uses this, but there's it's not always 100% agile. To be very honest, it's a mix of agile and waterfall. It depends what kind of project we're implementing, but uh, people say that on the paper, everybody say we are agile based, project and all this thing, but that's not the case 100%. To be very honest with you, but yeah, this is one of the
Yeah,
most buzzword in the market.
still agile has many demerits, right?
Yeah,
Still
yeah,
agile
yeah.
has many demerits. Yeah, of course, I agree with you. So from agile, like first we started with waterfall. Okay, then we moved to agile, and as you mentioned, like in agile also, it's not completely dynamic, it's not completely automation based, and there are demerits as well in agile. That's the reason we are again switching from, not completely switching, like we are improving the process, and currently we are proceeding with DevOps, right? So whatever the demerits that are there, that we are trying to overcome from one to another. Okay, nowadays many organizations are following DevOps process. Now what actually DevOps is? Any idea about DevOps? Like just now you mentioned. Okay, apart from that, like what is the definition of DevOps, or what actually DevOps is?
So
Any
basically,
definition?
if you break down this only, like it's a mixture of development and operations. So how efficiently we can
Okay,
integrate these two things, manage this. That's my understanding, basically.
perfect. Right, you're right. So here the thing is, as mentioned, like there are different teams who are working on application development and deployment process. Yeah, that is correct. And here in case of dev team know only how to write code, right? How to write the code. And second one is how to build the code. And third one is how to test the code. Apart from that, ops team know how to create infrastructure like servers or any other components that are required. Second one is like how to deploy the application, right? How to deploy the application. And third one is how to monitor. Do you agree?
Yes, yeah.
Right. So dev team know how to write the code, build the code, test the code. And ops team know how to create the infrastructure like servers and other networking components and all. And ops team know how to deploy the application and also how to monitor the application. Now, when these two teams are they sitting together? No, these two teams were sitting separately, and as they are sitting separately, and there are some demerits, like as they are not together. First thing is no proper communication. Okay, no proper communication. we can mention proper, right? Second one is no proper collaboration, right? They are not sharing with each other. And third one is different goals. They have different goals. So dev team know only how to write the code, how to build it, how to test it. But can we ask dev team to go ahead and do all of this? They can't do it, right? So dev team, if we ask dev team to go ahead and create the infrastructure and deploy the application, will they do it? Of course, I'm not talking about today's DevOps culture, but previously, like earlier.
No.
No, right? Because they are limited to writing the code, building the code, testing the code, and all of this. And ops team, they are aware of infrastructure, deploy and monitor. Now let's say we will ask ops team to go ahead and write the code, build it and test it. Will they do it? Of course, no, because they have different goals. They have different goals to work on. Now these two teams were different and different goals, and because of this reason there were many issues with the teams. Delayed process, right? Will you agree with the
Uh,
delayed process?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So delayed process, and also we can say like loss of customer,
Yes.
because when there is a delayed process, if we are not fixing the bug on time, right, we ultimately lose the customer. And loss of customer, that leads to loss of business, right? All these are demerits of the traditional practices. Now to overcome this, we came up with DevOps process. Now let me add one more point here, and here we follow the manual process. Of course, we might be using few tools, but they are not integrated with each other. Complete process is not integrated with all of these tools. So these were some of the demerits of traditional IT practices. And to overcome this, we combined these two teams, dev and ops, together to make it a single team, to improve communication, right? To improve collaboration, right? To set same goal, okay? And also to use automation tools, right? To use automation tools, and also we can avoid the loss of customer, avoid the loss of business, and also we are already using automation tools, and no delayed process, right? As you mentioned, faster time to market, faster time to market. So these are the important pointers to know why we are switching from agile traditional process, like agile traditional methodology, to actual DevOps. Now, why organizations are moving from agile traditional practices to DevOps process? So this is the reason, right? Hope we are good till
Yes.
here.
Yeah.
Okay, now DevOps is solving the problem like proper communication. We are able to do it. Proper collaboration. They can share their views. They can communicate with each other properly and understand each other. And we have given the same goal. Earlier, what it used to be like, dev team and ops team, these two are separate, right? Now dev team says that I build it, I build the application, you deploy it, or we can say you run it. We build it, you run it. This means goals are different. So dev team's responsibility is to only build, ops team responsibility is to only run it. Now when we combine these two, so what we are saying is, you build it and you run it. It's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to build. It's your responsibility to run. If anything is not working fine, you are the responsible person, right?
Right.
So this is how our DevOps was like introduced. And actually, DevOps, is it a new technology? Can we say it's a new technology? Or what actually we call it as a DevOps? DevOps is nothing
Uh,
but, yeah, please go
yeah.
ahead.
Sorry, it's not a new technology, but now the integration is very good. Like we have cloud, and everything. But DevOps we used to do earlier as well, like without cloud also, with
Yes.
using other tools, yeah, Jenkins and other
But
automation tools.
integration was not there. Yeah, as you mentioned,
No,
proper
yeah, yeah,
integration like pipelines and all of these were not there.
no, no,
That's what we are saying, like manual process. Like we used to hand it over to the next team manually. Okay. And
correct.
we used to wait for their result, wait for their feedback. Major issue was feedback, right?
Yeah, yeah, that was the biggest problem, offshore onshore issues, and that
Yes.
was always a flop show. Like developers put something and they say, "Oh, I don't know."
It
Ops team are
works on
working
my
on that.
machine
Yeah,
and yeah,
yeah,
this was
yeah.
the famous
All these
dialogue.
things. Right?
Right. So we can say DevOps is a process, or we can say culture. Okay, DevOps is a process or a culture which is adopted to improve. Main thing is like one is communication between dev and ops. This is very important. Proper communication has to be there. Second thing
Correct.
is collaboration, and we also have integration of, as you mentioned, tools. Okay, and also we can say automation, adoption of automation in the entire pipeline. So these were the major focus. Like DevOps is a process or a culture that we adopt to improve all of this, right? Yes.
Correct.
And anything to add? Yeah, please go ahead.
No, no, no. I'm good. Like I'm just trying to understand from your
Okay.
experience.
So yeah. So this is about our DevOps, right? Because you already have some idea about DevOps, so that's fine, right? Now we'll just go through the highlights of the slides. So SDLC process, just now we discussed, it's a systematic approach to design, develop, test, maintain the softwares, ensure high quality of software, and also to maintain a proper roadmap for development and deployment process. Structured phases, reduce the risk and improves project predictability. These are the different stages like requirement analysis, planning, dev, test, deployment, and maintenance. These are the different models that we have discussed as of now. And waterfall, it's a step-by-step process like systematic or stage-by-stage process. Changes in the requirements are not flexible. It's difficult for us and suitable for small projects where changes can be easily uh, done, and it's well suited for like fixed type of requirements, right? We can even maintain the documentation and all. When we talk about agile process, agile, we are working on sprints, right?
Correct.
Sprints. So we divide the entire application features into multiple sprints. Same like we can take an example of WhatsApp. So in the initial release of WhatsApp, all the features were not there. Slowly they are like they are adding all the features like two features or one feature uh, by working on the sprints, right? And waterfall and agile, we can differentiate like this. Waterfall is like a big block. It is not that easy to carry because we work on the entire feature of application. Let's say there are 10 features of application, and we will work on all the 10 features and develop all the application, and at the end we will deploy and test and we also get the feedback only at the end. And in case of agile process, it's very, very flexible, and we work on sprints, and we deploy and get the feedback as soon as we release, right?
Correct.
Right. This is the difference between waterfall, agile, and DevOps. Even using a DevOps, we are able to say like faster time to market. So when we are like very fast, when we are able to deliver or fix the bugs very fast, then we can retain the customers and we can retain the business, and all of these are the benefits of DevOps. Now, as we discussed, DevOps is a principle or set of practices that we are adopting in today's uh, today's software development process, and it generally combines dev team and ops team for proper collaboration and communication between all of this. So this is the reason why DevOps, like faster time to market, reliability, scalability, automation, improved collaboration, and cost and all. So it reduces 30% of cost. It's approximately, but it can be even more. And why DevOps is booming in 2025, right? So many technologies that are trending now. We can say ABCD. Okay. Uh, A for artificial intelligence, B for big data and data science, C for cloud computing, and also D for DevOps. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, that's interesting one. Yeah.
A, B, C, D. So these are the
Yeah.
trending technologies in the market. So So if we talk about DevOps, why DevOps is booming in 2025? Because rapid cloud adoption. Earlier, we used to use on-premise servers and everything, but now we are moving to cloud to leverage all the advantages. And also, we are going through automation growth and utilization of AI and security, compliance, Kubernetes, and containerization. These are very, very popular tools. Hope you are aware of Kubernetes and containerization,
Yeah,
and
yeah. I
hope you
use it.
worked
I
with
have
this.
used it. Yeah, yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
You worked on this. Okay. So have you worked on production level Kubernetes and containerization?
Like, in big organization, it's just like
We get, yeah, little
Kiran,
things to
like,
do.
we don't get to go so much in
Work on
details that
end to
you
end.
create
Yes.
pipeline every day. Everything is there. You just raise a request through IT process and, so it's bits and pieces, I would say, yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. I understand.
Like kubectl and all this thing we see using, how they're using it. There are documentation and to that level, not expo pro level.
Right. 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 I agree. I agree with you. Okay. So in DevOps, we generally have few jobs with remote opportunities and agile operations and high demand for DevOps skills. If we talk about the DevOps in demand roles, like in DevOps, as a DevOps engineer, we can work in junior level, mid level, and also senior levels. And apart from that, we can even proceed with a SRE role, site reliability engineer role, where we'll be taking more control of all the reliability of the system and maintaining and monitoring all the production level systems. And apart from that, we can also work as a platform engineer, cloud engineer. These all are the roles in demand now, right?
Yeah.
So, right. So if we look at the DevOps job market, so as per the analysis, it says that it's going to increase to $30 billion by 2028. And overall, like demand in the globe, like if you look at the globe, and it says that Europe has 32% of requirement, like increased job market, and Canada has 7% and USA 29%. And this is the like DevOps job market by 2028. So DevOps roles are like we have plenty of roles that are released in the market. Like let me take you through the Google, and if we look at the DevOps jobs in UK or DevOps job market in UK, and we have many opportunities here. Like if we look at the LinkedIn, Here it says that 1000 plus, 6000 plus, and here we can see. Even in Google also we get that. Let me show you through this. So generally, what are the roles and responsibilities of a DevOps engineer? Are you just aware of this?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So requirements and eligibility criteria, like in general, for a DevOps engineer role, they generally look for CI/CD tools, like a strong knowledge on CI/CD tools, like GitHub, Jenkins, and also containerization tools like Docker, Kubernetes, and also some of the scripting languages like Python is there, shell scripting is there, and also like familiarity of the with the concepts like agile methodologies, DevOps best practices, and strong communication skills and collaboration with the team, and all of these are eligibilities. And if we take another one and see what are the roles and responsibilities and skill set that they are looking for. Okay, so here the same thing, like effective communication, collaboration, and also server side web application infrastructure as a core tool like Terraform, Docker, and also implementing and supporting observability solutions, CI/CD, as well as the security best practices and tooling. All these are the requirements for a DevOps engineer. And let's look at the junior level position and skill set they are looking for is like, if we talk about operating system, Linux is very, very important, as I think you are aware, and you already have worked on
Yeah.
Linux operating systems. Yeah, and Windows also. So in some cases, they'll be asking. And cloud technologies. Today's our webinar is mostly based on like which cloud to choose and which cloud is suitable for uh, today's job market, and what are the trending cloud platforms like AWS, Azure, and GCP and all. And we will also see like what are the infrastructure as a code tools that are demanding in the market. This is the job role, right? So here they're asking for Terraform, CloudFormation, Ansible, Puppet, and all of this. And this is the average salary for a junior level DevOps engineer. And let's go ahead and see another one and see what actual skill set they are looking for. So yeah, so again they are looking at DevOps with a strong experience on Jenkins, GitLab CI, Circle CI, and AWS, Azure, GCP, any of the cloud platform. So everywhere, whenever we go for any DevOps role nowadays, they are asking for any of the cloud. That is mandatory.
Yeah.
Like either we can go with AWS, or we can go with Azure, or we can go with GCP or any platform, but most trending one is AWS. So as AWS is early bird in the market, so we have many of the organizations who are using and adopted this AWS platform. So of course, with the DevOps, they are also asking AWS and Azure, and also
Mhm.
scripting knowledge like Python, Bash, or shell scripting. Infrastructure as a code, everywhere we find Terraform,
Yeah.
CloudFormation, and also agile methodologies. All of these are like a common thing, right? So overall, what we can say is there are plenty of opportunities available in the market, and these are the skill sets actually they are looking for. Like if we start from the beginning, like knowing GitHub, or Bitbucket, or GitLab, or Jenkins, GitLab again, and Maven for in case of Java based codes, and Ansible, Terraform, Docker,
Mhm.
Kubernetes, Prometheus, Grafana, ELK stack, and all of these are like trending tools in the market. This we have discussed very clearly in previous webinar.
Mhm.
And yeah, all of these are the required skills and responsibilities of a DevOps engineer. So there are plenty of jobs available in the UK market, and we can just go through all of this and see like what actually they are looking for. All right. This is
Right.
about DevOps job market. And these are the salaries, like average salaries, entry level expected salaries are like 50K to 70K, and 80K to 150K for mid level, and senior level above 160K. And the organizations like recruiting DevOps engineers are like finance, tech, healthcare, and the most demanding cloud platforms like AWS, Azure, and other than that, we also need to know about Kubernetes, GitOps, AML, Ops, and all of this. So these are the trends of DevOps. These are most in-demand skill set for a DevOps engineer. And what are the actual roles and responsibilities of a DevOps engineer? As a DevOps engineer, we generally collaborate with a dev team, and our role is to automate. This is very important pointer. Like as a DevOps engineer, we everywhere work on automation. Like we write scripts for making our job easy and automate each and everything. And also we work on like creation of infrastructure. Like we leverage many tools like Terraform is there, like multi-cloud support tool, and cloud formation, ARM templates, and many of the infrastructure as a code tools. By using that, we create the infrastructure and manage. We also build CI/CD pipelines, like integration of multiple tools together to form a CI/CD pipeline, and also security, compliance, and site reliability. And in some companies, they also utilize our like leverage our skills for site reliability to maintain the reliable systems and to check the performance and monitoring our application and resources. And yeah, these are the main uh, roles and responsibilities of a DevOps engineer. So apart from that, like building a CI/CD pipeline to automate each and everything, as a DevOps engineer, our responsibility is to create these kind of pipelines where actually developer is going to push the code from the local machines to like a version control system, like source code management tools like Git, Bitbucket, and many more, GitHub and all. From there, actual update is going to be triggered to the CI server, that is Jenkins, and Jenkins is going to build and test, and then it's going to push it to the Docker, Kubernetes. And so this is a very basic and simple CI/CD pipeline to understand like how the workflow is going to be. And tools like CI tools like Jenkins, GitHub Actions, and GitLab CI/CD and Argo CD, these are the trending tools in the market to know about. So this is the pipeline workflow, starts from development, build, test, and deploy. Right? Yeah.
Correct.
So till here, I think we are very much familiar and we are good with the concepts, because you might be aware of all of these concepts, right?
Yeah, it looks, that
Looks good.
diagram is quite good. Like, it's this, I would say the very initial and, the simple way to understand the DevOps in
Yes. So this
this
is
cycle.
a very simple and easy to understand pipeline where developer is going to push the code to GitHub, from there Jenkins, from there Docker, Kubernetes, and all. So this will be the general workflow to give a basic idea about these pipelines and all. Now we will talk about AWS. As of now, we discussed about the tools like Git, GitHub, Jenkins, Maven, uh, Docker, Kubernetes, Ansible, Terraform, Prometheus, Grafana, ELK Stack, and all of these are trending tools in the market in 2025. Now, if we talk about AWS, now what tools and services, like what services are available in AWS to leverage in case of DevOps, right? Let's say I'm already using open source tools in my on-premise servers. And if I want to switch to AWS platform, any of the cloud platform like AWS, what services are actually available to leverage for DevOps? Now we can say like this is the compute service, like EC2 is a elastic compute service, elastic compute cloud, which is a virtual machine in the cloud. And we can even leverage EC2, or we can go with a Lambda. We also have specific tools for DevOps like ECS, EKS, Elastic Container Services, Elastic Kubernetes Services. And also we can leverage AWS like compute engine, that is AWS Fargate. So ECS can be combined with EC2 as a compute engine, or ECS can be combined with Fargate. And also similarly, we can say EKS, so Elastic Kubernetes Service. So if our workloads are already uh, like currently running on premises, then we can leverage EKS service to bring our workloads to AWS cloud. And why it matters? Because it automates the deployment, reduces the operational overhead, and improves the scalability. So these are the tools that we can leverage in AWS for our DevOps. And apart from that, we also have tools like CI/CD tools. Okay, like code pipeline, code build, code deploy, code commit, and all of these are available to build CI/CD pipelines and automate and integrate all of these together and automate everything. Right? Have you used AWS, Mohammed?
Yeah, in my company, I mean, mainly it's AWS. It's dominant in the, you know,
Okay.
yeah,
So
I
have
would
you
say.
worked on all of these tools like code pipeline,
No,
code?
no, exactly. The services I have used, other services like EC2 and all this thing, how you create, but not this exactly like, using this one. So what I did basically using AWS as infrastructure, but
Okay.
integrating with other services like, yeah,
Open source.
open source plus, yeah, basically, yeah, you're right.
Okay.
But not exactly that AWS based like code pipeline, code commit. No, not like there was a Java based application, so we use that Maven, Jenkins, and all this thing to just it's a basic stuff I would say. But yeah,
Okay. Okay. So other than this DevOps based tools, you have used other tools like EC2, S3, and
yeah,
other tools, right?
correct,
Okay.
correct.
Right. So
Nexus,
this,
Gradle, and all this thing. Sorry, like for code scanning and all this thing. All the CI/CD, not a very advanced CI/CD like monitoring and all this thing, Grafana and all this thing. But yeah, a simple pipeline using Nexus for code quality and all this thing, and just to deploy a solution on it.
SonarQube for code
SonarQube,
quality.
exactly. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Nexus, it's a JFrog,
Next,
like Nexus and JFrog are
I mean,
artifactories
artifacts.
for,
Yeah,
for
basically.
storing artifacts. And we also have a Tree for scanning Docker images and all of
Exactly,
this.
exactly.
All
Yeah.
right. So this is the general workflow in AWS based CI/CD pipelines. Like developer commits the code and the code pipeline will be triggered and automates the build and also test and everything, and it ultimately deploys to the target platforms. You can use the target platform like either EC2 or we can say EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Service, and we can run our application workloads on AWS using all of these tools. So we have EC2 Lambda, ECS, EKS, Fargate, and apart from that, we can use all of those services to build the pipelines, code pipeline, code build. So this is nothing but like building an entire pipeline to automate the process. Same like building a CI/CD pipeline. Just now we have seen, no, like basic CI/CD pipeline.
Hmm.
All these are open source tools pipeline. But in case of
Correct.
AWS, we generally go with proprietary tools, right? We have ECS, we have EKS and all. So AWS generally recommends to go with AWS based tools only, right? Of course, we can
Hmm.
use open source as well, but yeah. So we can say like if I want to bring my workloads to AWS, what tools are available, what services are available like EC2, Lambda, ECS, EKS. And apart from that, we can also build pipelines and all of this. So let's get started with the actual AWS introduction to AWS, like what actually AWS is and what are the different like use cases of AWS services and what are the different services are available and all. Hope you are aware of these AWS services, most of the services. Do you have any
Yeah, kind of.
certifications? Do you have any
Yeah,
AWS
so
certification?
I am in between, like, trying to for AWS solution architect, but not certification. But yeah, most of the services I have used at a basic level or intermediate level, I would say, but not a very professional level. Like,
Okay, okay.
yeah,
So all these concepts, hope you are very familiar with this.
kind of like, yeah, good
Shall,
cloud and
shall,
all
shall
this
we
thing.
go ahead with the slides to understand
Yeah,
what
that
cloud
would be
computing
good. I
is?
mean, I value your time and it's an interesting conversation. So,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
This is very, very important to understand, like why organizations are switching from on-premise to cloud, right?
Mm,
This is the very important thing and to understand and how we are like getting benefited if we use cloud platforms. So to start with this cloud computing concepts, actually, let's try to understand like what were the traditional practices we generally used to go ahead with. So we, for application development and deployment purpose, we generally used to use our workload on on-premise servers, or we can say on-premise data centers. Okay, so this was our general practice. Like if we go back to like 10 years or 15 years back, we used to work with on-premise data centers only. And there, what were the challenges? Can you just
Uh,
add some
Yeah,
points? What were the
on
challenges?
premise, you see, the main problem was that because I am also working for quite a long time, not on DevOps, but I do understand.
Of
So
course,
the
yeah,
main challenges was to me personally as a IT guy, I would say underutilization of the resource. First thing, like you buy a server, and that too you understand, Kiran. Like it used to take first order it, and time consumption, like 2 months, 3 months, just to which you can do it now in seconds or minutes. You can set up the infrastructure what you
correct,
want, and
correct.
that pay as you go. So you understand that's only one thing explains everything. So, and underutilization here, it's like, service less as well. So whatever number of calls you are, so all this sort of things, I would say in a nutshell, is the main advantage.
Right, right, right. Yeah, that were the challenges that we faced earlier. And
Yeah.
apart from that, we can say capex, capital
Yeah,
expenditure.
capex. Yeah. Yeah.
Can we
Capex.
say opex,
Yeah.
operational
Yeah.
expenditure? And apart
Actually, I was
from that,
about to say that one only. Yeah. So that's
these
the
are very,
main
very,
capex.
very important points because everywhere
Yeah.
cost comes into picture.
Yeah.
Optimized solutions. We always look for optimized solutions, like cost optimized solutions. And
Correct.
also like, as you mentioned, time consumption process to order like servers and whatever the like components that are required, and
Hmm.
underutilization, and we can also say physical security.
Yeah. Data centers and all these things. So you have to, so for
So
servers
physical
and all.
security, and also we can say like virtual security, like
Hmm.
firewalls and
Correct.
okay, these all we need to manually take care of, and each and everything has to be properly configured. And apart from that, like we also should have a land, right? There
Yeah.
should be a proper land for setting up our data center,
Yeah.
and like skilled persons, can we say
Yeah.
skilled technicians or skilled engineers, we say. Okay, and apart from that, any other challenges that we identify?
Like, uh, yeah, resources basically, like, you have a physical something, you have to take care of it, you have to maintain it, you have to do everything. Like physical security guard, you have to put it for a infra, like building. So it's a lot of cost, I would say. Yeah.
Right. So security guards, and we have to even build some infrastructure, right? There
Correct.
should be
Yeah. Yeah.
proper platforms, and everything has to be well established. So if we highlight the points like in traditional practices, as you mentioned, underutilization was the biggest issue,
Yeah.
and also like over provisioning, both are same. And
Yeah. Yeah.
also
Both are same.
time consumption when we order servers. Initially, we need some expenditure. This is the major thing when we talk about startups, right?
Hmm.
So if we say like some well-established companies, they can manage, they have proper revenue to do all of these. But when we talk about startups, they cannot manage or they cannot build everything from scratch. That was the
Yeah.
biggest challenge. Capex and OPEX. And physical security, virtual security, and about firewalls and all of these things has to be properly configured. Other than that, we also come across land, we also come across skilled engineers, electricity, cooling. We always have to maintain the cool temperature so that our servers will not trouble us, right? All these were challenges. Now, what cloud platforms are saying? So, what is actually a cloud generally, as per your understanding?
You don't have physical somewhere, somebody else. It's like you are outsourcing your work to somebody else without
Okay.
maintaining infrastructure. So somebody, you are just paying somebody to take care of everything. You don't have to worry about. You just pay as you go, I would say. That's from business perspective, I would say, as a layman's
So,
language.
yeah,
Yeah.
perfect, perfect. So, for example, we can take like constructing a house and renting a house.
Correct.
Which one would be easy?
Definitely renting a house,
Of course,
especially in the UK.
especially. So constructing a house for us, like what happens is like it involves in capex. We should have good amount of money and operation opex, right? So every month we have to take care of cleaning process and everything, like management, like maintenance work and everything we have to take care. And apart from that, like if we are renting something, no need of capex, right? No, like some kind of maintenance also has to be will be taken care by the owners. Okay, so these are the benefits. So this is one just example that we can take. So in case of cloud also we are getting the same benefits, like cloud platforms are saying you don't need to buy anything, you don't need to take care of physical security, you don't need to invest something, or you don't need to wait for something. But just what they are telling us is like just utilize our services. We will take care of the entire setup, like we will take care of a region setup, we will take care of availability zone setup, we'll take care of data center setup, cooling, physical, and everything has to be taken care by cloud platforms. They are just providing the web services in the all the IT resources in the form of web service. Now, if we talk about the definition of cloud computing, it's nothing but on-demand delivery of IT resources in the form of web service with pay-as-you-go pricing model. First thing is like they are renting IT resources.
Mhm.
Second one is like pay-as-you-go pricing model. Same like electricity bill, whatever we use, we pay only for that. And apart from that, uh, we can we can utilize the service from anywhere. Like this is a web service over internet. So if we have a web browser, from there we can do anything. If we have one laptop and it is connected to the internet, with this we can do anything, right? So these are the like highlights of cloud computing. To overall, we can say we can rent the IT resources and we can pay only for what we use, and also web services. Apart from that, fourth one, like on demand, right? On demand delivery of IT resources in the form of web service with pay as you go pricing model. These are the four important pointers that we can say. These are the benefits of cloud computing. So if we talk about cloud computing platforms, like what are the different cloud computing platforms that are available?
Mainly AWS, Azure, and GCP.
Okay, cloud platforms in market. So as mentioned, like AWS is there, second one is Azure, third one is GCP, and fourth one, any other that you remember?
Yeah, I remember, but hardly even, Alibaba is there in the market, for certain customer, not in this. Oracle IBM, but overall, I understand that, these also companies uses the services of somehow, to my understanding, maybe I may be wrong.
Right. So very trending platform is AWS, and apart from that, second one it goes to Azure, Third one is GCP as per the recent market research and analysis reports. So these are the trending platforms. Like first one will be preferred as AWS. AWS has almost approximately like 33% of market share. Market share globally, and Azure also captured some market, and GCP also has some market, and they have different types of workloads. Let me quickly take you through this. Like we are talking about types of cloud computing, like public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. If you talk about public cloud, it comes AWS, Azure, GCP, and all of this. Private cloud, it's on-prem, and hybrid cloud, combination of public plus on-prem, right? This we generally call it as hybrid. So some organizations, what they do, they want to keep their secure data within on-premise, and they want to leverage other services in the cloud. So they are going to maintain both public platform as well as private. So in that case, we generally prefer a hybrid. Nowadays, most of the organizations are preferring hybrid instead of only specific public cloud. And if you talk about the public cloud, like example AWS, Azure, GCP, and we can say it's a third party provider. Private, it's going to be used by single organization. Hybrid, it's a combination of public and private, right? Both at a time we can use. And we also have some cloud service models like IPS, infrastructure as a code, infrastructure as a service, and platform as a service, and software as a service, right? So these are the different service models. And if you look at the cloud computing benefits, like cost efficient, scalable, flexible, secure, reliable, and all. And real world use cases, generally as a DevOps engineer, DevOps based organizations, all of these are utilizing cloud platforms to build and run CI/CD pipelines. We also use cloud platforms for data backup and recovery. This is very important point. Like everywhere, data backup and recovery, disaster recovery solutions are required. So nowadays, like utilizing cloud is very important in this case. Now we also use cloud platforms for big data analytics and streaming services and AI, ML, and everywhere. These are the real world use cases of cloud computing. And this is the comparison between on-premise and cloud computing. Like it's fully owned, and this is the managed provider, high upfront, and here we go with a pay-as-you-go pricing model, and these are the differences that we have discussed just now. And when to choose what? On-premise, when we go with on-premise, like when there is a strict regulatory or data residency, in this case we go with the on-premise servers. Like what kind of data can be like data residency compliance?
Oh yeah, so basically, yeah, I have been working on this. So basically, GDPR and all this thing, we don't do it through, on cloud. Like backing data and other stuff.
Yes. So we can say like some kind of data like defense data.
Correct.
Defense data is the best example. Like we can't put everything on the cloud, right? Defense data is very like private data, so we can't put that information in cloud. That too in different countries. See, like cloud platforms have their infrastructure in different countries, different regions, and all. Even we can put that in our own region, like nearby regions, but that's not recommended to put that in the cloud platform. So in that cases, we go with on-premise. And in case of cloud-based, like we nowadays are like implementing cloud native applications, right? Everything you from scratch build and deploy everything on cloud only. So in that case, like e-com platforms, e-com applications, and all of this, we generally prefer cloud platforms, e-commerce applications. Now, when we talk about the cloud service providers that are available in the market, AWS, Azure, and GCP, these are the trending platforms, and apart from that, IBM, Oracle, Alibaba, and many other platforms are there. Now, if we talk about the AWS, like introduction to AWS, when it was launched, and a brief introduction about this. So, like, are you aware of the story, like why this AWS was started and who started it and all of this?
I know a
Yeah,
bit
please.
of, yeah, like they basically started for their internal process and somehow it became a success and they wanted to roll out and, build the services. And now they have a services, we don't even know how many they have
There is.
it.
There are 200 plus services with
Yeah,
multiple categories, right? So
yeah.
yeah, as mentioned, it was started as an internal process. It was Amazon actually started their journey with the
Mhm.
online bookstore. They registered this
Exactly.
with the online store, online bookstore. Okay, so they started selling books online, and later on, the traffic has increased on their website, and they started thinking about like how to handle this traffic and all. So as a part of this, they got an idea to work on these two things, like high availability, and second one is scalability. These are the buzzwords in cloud, right? High availability
Mhm.
and scalability. Everywhere we hear this kind of buzzwords. So they started working on this high availability and scalability, and at least they were able to achieve this. And later on in 2005, actually, they thought of releasing these services, like IT services in the form of web service. They started with a few services, and actually in 2006 they released a few services in the market to use, right? So
Mhm.
actual date was like before 2006 they came up with some services in 2005, and official launch and other services were introduced in 2006. And AWS has market share of 33% of, as per the recent reports, and it's one of the pioneer of cloud service with a vast global infrastructure. So AWS has a global infrastructure that is very, very powerful, and because of this backbone network, AWS is able to capture the market.
Mhm.
And popular enterprise like Netflix, Airbnb, and AML workloads, we have SageMaker, serverless architecture. These are the highlights of uh, AWS and use cases. And we have popular services like compute, storage, networking, databases, and DevOps services like code pipeline, cloud formation, and all of this. So from this, how many services you actually utilized?
So basically, I would say I have seen top four, like, compute, storage, networking, database, kind of like, in bits and pieces. But last one, as I mentioned, I have used mainly open source things, so this is completely untouched to me.
So have you used CloudWatch? No?
CloudWatch, yeah, just to see the logs and all these things, like,
Okay, what about cloud formation? I think you're not.
no, no.
Okay, okay. Code pipeline also no. But
No.
remaining everything, like you are aware, like what is the purpose of this tool and all.
Kind of, I would say, like, yeah, I have good understanding of all those things. So, like EC2, Lambda, create. I have even created few infrastructure, like, just to see how it works, how much it costs, and all this thing. Even I have set up the budget on, the AWS. So all
AWS
those things,
budget
organization
service.
setup. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's great. That means you already have knowledge on AWS. Okay, so yeah, this is the second cloud platform, that is Azure. So Azure was started, like it was, they started providing the services in 2010, and approximately Azure captures 22% of the market share. And we have like Azure is specifically based on Windows. Most of the servers like Windows. Of course, we have Linux servers. That's a different thing. And Azure is famous for Active Directory, Office 365, and all of this. And Azure is preferable for enterprise IT modernization, and some organizations are even using multi-cloud, like hybrid clouds. And hybrid cloud is different, and like using on-premise and cloud is different, right? So some companies are even using AWS plus Azure both for their workloads, and some organizations they are using for on-premise with one cloud platform. And Azure is also famous for data analytics and AI services. And we have a compute services like virtual machines, Azure Functions, and blob storage, disk storage, Azure Virtual Network, as well as load balancers, Cosmos DB and SQL, Azure DevOps and Azure Resource Manager. Same like CloudFormation.
Right.
CloudFormation and Terraform. Have you used Terraform earlier?
I was just experimenting, so I would say a little bit just to
Yeah,
create
little
the
bit.
infrastructure from here, not to
So
go.
these services are proprietary services of particular cloud platform only. If we are talking about CloudFormation, we can use CloudFormation only in AWS. If you are talking about Azure Resource Manager, we can use only in Azure, right?
Correct.
These are limited. So can you use CloudFormation to create the infrastructure in Azure?
I don't think so.
No. So if you want to use ARM to create the infrastructure in AWS, no.
No.
But using CloudFormation, we can create the infrastructure in many platforms. Like you can work with AWS, you can work with Azure, you can even create the Kubernetes or and Docker, and everything is possible with Terraform. You can work with any of the platform with Terraform. So that's the reason organizations are asking for like this kind of powerful tools like Terraform is there, Ansible and Docker we can use on any cloud platform, even on premise and everywhere. So that's the reason organizations are more focused towards like open source tools. And other than that, few organizations are also asking for specific like DevOps on AWS, like AWS DevOps, or some organizations are looking for Azure DevOps. Some organizations are looking for GCP based DevOps, like using only their services.
Correct.
So holding like multiple skills on multiple tools will be an added advantage. So first preference can be given to open source because everywhere open source tools are used. And apart from that, we can also learn any cloud specific DevOps like certification or skill set that is a preferable one. And also apart from that, if you talk about GCP, it was started in the year 2011 and it's capturing approximately 11% as per the recent reports, and best in class data analytics and AML kind of workloads. And these are the popular use cases like data driven applications and machine learning and Kubernetes and all of this. So overall, we can say most of the market share is captured by AWS, and even everywhere in every job description, they're asking for AWS or Azure, most of the cases, right? Some specific companies are there who are even looking for GCP based like DevOps engineer, but mostly AWS and Azure. So GCP, yeah, these are the services like Compute Engine, Cloud Storage, VPC, Cloud CDN, BigQuery, and also all of this AML based services. So this is the overview of three different cloud service providers, and this is the comparison. Like 2006, it was a early bird, and they started providing the services from 2006 onwards, and they captured highest market share. And there are many powerful services like EC2, Lambda, SageMaker, S3, EBS, and in S3 we have Glacier, VPC, CloudFront, Route 53. Have you used Route 53 and all of this?
In AWS, yeah, I have set up those like for website just to check it
DNS,
how it is
DNS
working a
and
little bit.
registrar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So choosing which cloud service provider, which one you recommend generally?
For me, it's like AWS and
Yeah.
Azure also, but AWS would be top one for me.
Even I prefer AWS mostly, and second preference is given to Azure.
Azure.
Yeah. So AWS is like what we feel is like more comfortable to use and easy
Yes.
to use, and everything is like we have a proper documentation everywhere, and we have many resources to learn.
Resources,
And
basically, correct.
yeah, resources. So yeah, this was the like overview of three cloud service providers, and let's jump on to actual AWS platform. So we have seen like introduction to AWS. What is AWS? It's an Amazon Web Service uh, cloud platform which is providing on-demand services like infrastructure and various other services and tools to leverage in various uh, various kind of platforms, and we can build, we can deploy, we can manage the applications. And it was launched in 2006. Parent company is Amazon. Global reach, we have many regions, availability zones, and all this we just have discussed, so I'm just skipping this. Yeah, so what do you know about AWS global infrastructure? Like, what can you say?
Uh, this is interesting. I mean, global infrastructure, as in like, this is just a big statement. So I don't know exactly what to say here, but it's like, global infrastructure, it should be available globally, like that itself.
So yeah, earlier, like in traditional practices, our applications are limited to a particular region or particular country, right? So we can't like uh, release our application in different parts of the world, right? So there were some like limitations in deployments and all. So our infrastructure is located only within on premises, and everything was like challenging. Of course, we can deploy our application in one particular region, like on premise. If we deploy our application on premise and our application needs access throughout the world, then what challenges we actually face? Let's say
Mhm.
my question is, I want to deploy the application on premise in India or in
Uh-huh.
UK or anywhere, USA or whatever it may be, and my users are throughout the globe. Okay,
Mhm.
what challenges we actually face when application is in USA and users are from India, users are from UK, users are from Pakistan or different parts of
Yeah.
world? What actual?
So yeah, so for me it would be like, first of all thing, let's say that you have an application in India or UK and you want to roll out to USA. So first thing comes into the mind, latency. First thing, like, how would you
Very
provide the same
important point. Yeah, valid point. Perfect.
same experience what you are providing in your home audience? First thing. So we have for that is CloudFront from AWS, so that content delivery and Netflix and all these things. Apart from that, it's all about localization. What are the, how GDP, local, that GDPR and other things are being controlled, access, how you are, you know. So I'm going beyond this rollout. Like, when we have these services, we can roll out. Latency is sorted out. Now you come back to how you are doing the localization for all those things. Some feature you don't want to see showcase in India, like, some government banned stuff, like, from other countries, some resource. So those things will be taken care of by these things, I would say. So,
Yes. Yeah, perfect. So whatever the application that we are targeting, so if we aim to release our application and give the access throughout the globe, of course, global infrastructure is very important.
correct.
So some users can be from USA. Okay, some
Hmm.
users belongs to USA, and some users belongs to like UK or London or whatever it may be. Okay, I'm just mentioning it. And some users belongs to like India, many parts of the world, right? So in this case, our application is hosted only on premise in one particular location. Now here comes the latency, as you mentioned. And also, when the traffic increases, we also come across the scalability issues, high availability
Hmm.
issues, right?
Correct.
So global infrastructure can help with all of this, right? We can scale our application globally, that too with high availability, that too with high scalability, right? So all of
Right.
these are the important pointers, like high availability throughout the globe, and third one is scalability. So these points are very, very important when we talk about global infrastructure. So AWS global infrastructure, which is going to provide the scalability, which is going to provide the high availability and low latency. These points you already mentioned, right? So your guess was correct. So this is the purpose of building our AWS global infrastructure throughout the world, and it actually looks like this. So what AWS has done is like they have divided the entire globe into multiple regions. So here it comes with regions. There are many regions, and second one is availability zones, and third one is like we can say data centers. Okay, and these all comes under global infrastructure. Apart from that, any other?
Uh, I can't recollect at this moment.
Right.
Definitely there are more. Yeah.
Yeah, so regions, availability zones, data centers, edge locations, and local zones, and there are many like many type of categories that are categorized into global infrastructure. So there are like many regions, and they are named like Oregon region or Ohio region or Mumbai region, like
Mhm.
Hyderabad region or London region, Ireland, Frankfurt, Northern Virginia, and all these are regions. And these are interconnected with ultra low latency cables. Ultra low latency cables, and these all are connected throughout the globe. So this
Yeah.
is what a global infrastructure is. So AWS is maintaining the connectivity between all the regions throughout the globe, throughout the world, and they are providing this powerful backbone network to the customers, right? So when we
Right.
use internet, performance might be like very less, right? Like slow queries or whatever the uploads or whatever the downloads or whatever the application performance and resource performances, everything was like it's very slow. We can leverage AWS backbone network by using some of the services like AWS Global Accelerator. Hope you're aware of
Mm-hmm.
this.
Yeah. Okay.
In
I'm
AWS, we
aware.
have AWS Global Accelerator, which is going to completely use this AWS backbone network, which is very, very powerful and increase the speed of the application usage, right? Latency. So these are the categories like AWS regions, availability zone, edge locations, and AWS local zones and wavelength. And all of these are major components of global infrastructure. Now let's look at the region. Regions are like this. Region is a combination of multiple availability zone, and inside availability zone, again, there are data centers. So
Mhm.
like, are you aware of like, can you name some AWS regions other than this?
Like in Europe, we have this Stockholm, and basically when you create an AWS, services, by default there are some regions attached to that. So we have a Stockholm, I think. I don't remember it, but yeah. So that is one of the.
Yes,
Then
yes.
in India, if you create it, it's like Mumbai region. So
Right,
yeah,
right.
that's.
So yeah, in this Amazon AWS regions, what happens is like they have divided these regions into multiple availability zones. So is there any reason for dividing this as multiple availability zones? Like why they
Yeah,
have divided
content.
like this?
Yeah, so basically, I think it's like, if you're closer to that region, so services, again, it comes to latency and other features and all these things. But, let's say that if you are using, I'm based in UK, and if I try to use a region from US East that you mentioned over in Virginia, then definitely there would be delivery and, latency might be. And the important thing is that, there might be some services which might not be available over there, which is available in this region. So
Perfect,
these things, yeah.
perfect. So like this is AZ1, this is AZ2, and this is AZ3. Right. Now, why they have like divided like this, and what is the distance between these? Any idea about
Mhm.
this?
Not exact the distance, but I think they have strategically defined this so that, the availability is higher and all this thing. That's my overall understanding, not very in deep.
Okay, so the
Yeah.
major reason is for dividing these availability zones into like at least maintaining 3 availability zones in all of the regions, and
Right.
maximum we can go up to 6 availability zones in US East 1, that is Northern Virginia region. This is majorly because disaster recoveries.
Hmm.
So
Correct.
they maintain at least 100 kilometers distance. Okay, from
Right.
one AZ to other AZ, at least they maintain 100 km distance between these two in order to prevent from disaster recoveries. Let's say one application is deployed into multiple availability zones. Now what happens if one AZ goes down due to some disaster? It should not disturb other availability zone, and our application will be highly available in other 2 availability zones. So this is the reason like why these regions are again divided into availability zones, and why these availability zones are like apart from each other. Why there is a distance of 100 km from each other. Okay, so this is the reason why they have divided like this. And this is one more example image that we can see. If we take Northern California, so this is named with US West 1, and Northern California is again divided into 3 availability like 1A, 1B and 1C, and inside each availability zone there are data centers. So DC1, DC2, DC3, 4, 5. So AWS will only disclose about the region, but they don't disclose about where the availability zone is, where the data centers are. That is a confidential information.
Mhm.
So
Right.
they only disclose about regions, like how many regions are there and where that region is, but they don't actually disclose like where is that availability zone. And they generally maintain at least 100 kilometers distance from each other. So if we
Right.
talk about availability zone, so minimum there are 2 and maximum there are 6. Okay, there is some region I don't recall, like it has only 2 availability zones, and uh, 6 availability zones. It's Northern Virginia, US is to 1, right? So it's named with 1A, 1B, 1C like this. Availability zones are named like this. Now edge locations. Hope you are aware of edge location.
Yeah, that's even the content delivery and all this thing I was trying to say. So
Yeah,
basically, yeah,
it's a
education
CDN.
is yeah.
Perfect. It will focus more on latency. It reduces
Yes.
latency. Okay, it reduces latency. Let's say customer is searching for something, and the request first goes to the edge location. From there it reaches to the target server, and from there again the response is given back to the customer through edge location, and that particular copy is again saved here in this edge location. Let's say another customer is again trying to access the same file. It will be served from there itself, so that the latency can be reduced easily. Now local zones, any idea about local zone?
Like as you have shown, yeah, this is the one idea I have. Like they have local zone wise, they divide it and all this thing. Not much.
So local zones are similar to regions only, similar to regions, but we don't get all of the services that are available in regions. So there are limited number of services available in local zones, like we can uh, have compute, category, storage, databases, and few other services are available in local zones, but not all the services that are available in region. And examples like Los Angeles and Dallas, like all these are the places where the local zones are actually available. And especially use cases like gaming, streaming, and real-time analytics. For these use cases, we generally prefer local zones. So we can say
Mhm.
local zones are extension of regions, extensions
This is
to regions,
weekends, yeah,
but we don't have all of the like services in local zones.
correct.
Right? Yeah. So this is the architecture of a local zone, where we can extend our VPC to local zones as well. Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Correct.
Apart from that, these are the use cases like Netflix, Amazon Prime, and these all are using the infrastructure, AWS global infrastructure, and they are well maintaining all their applications, and they are able to maintain a minimal latency, and they are even using the edge locations and everything to provide a good performance in our applications. Now, this is how AWS account and services look like. So in our AWS account, we generally choose one of the region like Ohio, Northern Virginia, or Mumbai. And under this, again, these are divided into like AZ1, AZ2, AZ3 and all. So in this way, we can utilize the AWS account and services. And apart from that, there are some, we can say regional services, and some are like regional services and also global services, right? Hope you are
Mm-hmm.
aware of that.
Yeah, little bit. Yeah.
All right. So this is the overall architecture, sample architecture. By using the entire global infrastructure, we built this. So where we are utilizing all of this, like this is Northern Virginia, and this is Tokyo region, and we have wavelength, and also we have edge locations, and this is edge location, and users are also from different parts of the world, and we also have connected our on-premise data center. So this is a complete hybrid architecture based on global infrastructure. So almost all of these global infrastructure components are included here, like edge
Mm-hmm.
locations, regions, local zones, and on-premise data centers, and all of these are combined, including Outpost, AWS Outpost. Hope you are aware of AWS Outpost,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Now, we can go through AWS account. Have you? You have already used AWS account, right?
Yeah. So I have set up. I have the understand. I have
Right,
done it.
right. So
Yeah.
IAM service.
Yeah. Users and all this thing.
So in case of IAM, we can create the users, we can create the groups,
Mm-hmm.
and we can also create roles.
Roles,
We
right?
can also create policies,
Yeah.
right? All of these
Yeah.
are highlights, right? So I think it's not required to go through all of this again.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. So this is about VPC. What about VPC? You used VPC, right?
Yeah. So basically, everywhere it's like first create start with VPC and then under that put everything. That's the idea.
Yeah, right.
It's a black
Regions,
box.
VPC. Public subnet, private subnet, use cases for public
Yeah.
subnet, private subnet, and
Yeah.
uh, reason for creating a private subnet for deploying our databases and all.
Mm-hmm.
Hope you are already aware of. CIDR
Yeah.
blocks, subnets,
Yeah.
internet gateways, security groups, NACLs, and route
Yeah.
tables, NAT gateway, transit gateway,
Yeah.
and yeah, all of this, right? EC2 instance, you have
Yeah.
already used EC2 instance.
Yeah. A couple
So
of different types of compute I played with, like, which because few services not work large, that these are micro large, like, for basic stuff we just start with micro
instance
and then
types T2.micro,
yeah,
T3.micro, T5.x large. So these kind of
yes,
instance sizes we can use. So these all are the instance types. T3.micro, C6G dot large, and all of this.
right,
Based on different use cases like for general
different,
purpose, compute,
right,
memory, storage, accelerated and all. So purchasing options, we can either go with on demand, all right?
yeah, yeah,
Reserved, spot instances, savings plan, dedicated host, and all of this. And also the different like components of EC2, AMI, instance type, elastic IP, key pair, user data, security groups, auto scaling groups, all
yeah.
right?
So basically I have done couple of deployment, very not very high end, like, so I have
Okay,
used most of these services, so that context I have this idea.
all right. So Lambda already you are aware of.
Yeah.
Okay, S3 you are already aware of.
Yes, yeah. Because all the data unstructured and all we dump into S3 and for
Right. What about databases like RDS, DynamoDB, Aurora?
now basic, like, Dynamo, I think I have used it, and RDS I have used it, not Aurora in that way, like,
Yeah. So RDS we can use it in free tier, and but Aurora is
Yeah,
not available in free tier.
great, right.
Right, so it is not available, so it's a chargeable service. So we generally don't get a chance to work on this, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So RDS, and I hope you're familiar with all of these concepts.
Yeah,
Okay, so yeah, let's directly jump on to the DevOps part.
yeah,
So AWS DevOps. So if we talk about DevOps, we have many open source tools. Just now we discussed many times, like starting from Git,
mm,
GitHub, Jenkins, Maven, Ansible, Terraform, Docker, Kubernetes, and Prometheus, Grafana, ELK stack, and all. So almost all the services, like not open source, but in AWS also we have uh, two services to leverage in DevOps. So starting from ECS, are you aware of ECS?
yeah, container services, yeah.
ECS, EKS.
I mean, some like for Kubernetes, you're talking about when we deploy the container from Docker to. So I think, yeah, I have used this thing couple of
Uh,
places. Yeah,
right. So ECS, EKS, and CloudWatch and all. So these are the like DevOps based tools for monitoring, for deploying our applications by creating containers and by creating Kubernetes clusters and all. So we
yeah,
generally leverage EC2, sorry, ECS. It's a container service which is available in AWS. So it's a mostly in AWS we come across the fully managed services, right? So this is also a fully managed service where AWS is going to take care of the basic management,
yeah.
right? We can leverage this service for deploying, managing, and scalable, standardized container-based platforms. We can also use Docker into ECS, and we discussed like ECS with EC2, ECS with Fargate,
Okay.
right? And apart from that, we can also say EKS plus EC2 and EKS plus Fargate. These are the combinations. So if you want to
Mhm.
go ahead with a managed, like a user managed one, we can even work with a ECS on EC2. And if you want to go with a serverless and completely managed platform, we can go with Fargate. So ECS can also be used on Fargate, or even we can go with the EC2. And same like
Correct.
EKS, we can go with the customer managed or like a AWS managed platform.
Right.
Yeah. So apart from that, IAM, CloudWatch, these are the services that we can leverage along with this ECS. Like, are you aware of CloudWatch? I think you mentioned you already worked with the CloudWatch, right? So what
Right.
are the
For yeah, go ahead.
monitoring
Monitoring
tools?
purpose. Yeah, yeah.
One is
So
CloudWatch.
basically, I may be wrong also. So CloudWatch, even I'm not getting the name exactly at this moment. Like there were some logging tools, also Elastic, Cache, or I don't remember it. So yeah, I have used it, not extensively, but I have some
So
idea.
Elastic Cache, it comes under like a cache type of database. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So Elastic Cache. So in this we have again Redis
Hmm.
and Memcached and Redis. So these are for like reducing the load on primary database. Let's say there is a primary database, okay, MySQL or some other type of database, and to like what we can say is like to reduce the burden on primary database, we generally go with the Elastic Cache service, which is a type of cache database, and it has Redis and Memcached. Redis is very powerful than Memcached,
Hmm.
right? So yeah. So this is what you mentioned, right? Elastic Cache
Yeah.
in monitoring. So other
Yeah.
than this, in case of DynamoDB, we also has DAX. right? DynamoDB
Yeah.
accelerator, which is going to reduce the latency from single digit milliseconds to microsecond latency.
Microseconds, correct.
Single digit to microsecond, right? By using DAX for DynamoDB. Okay, so if we talk about monitoring tools, so CloudWatch is one such monitoring tool in AWS which can be used to collect logs
Correct.
and metrics. Okay, we have dashboards,
Yeah.
right? And apart from that, anything like we can set alarms,
Yes.
we can trigger alarms. And
Yes.
other than that, we can also create filters. We can say
Hmm.
metric filter, right? And apart
Right.
from that, if we talk about CloudTrail, the main purpose
Hmm.
of CloudTrail is to
Basically, API activity, see the API records of API activity. I think that's my
logging
understanding. Web
API
services,
calls,
yeah, yeah, API
logging
calls basically.
API calls. Like we can say some user or some employee have deleted S3 bucket. So we
Hmm.
can just go to like a CloudTrail and check who have actually deleted the S3 bucket. So this kind of API calls are logged using a CloudTrail. So these are monitoring tools in AWS which we use for many purposes. Now,
Hmm.
generally, sometimes we send CloudTrail logs to CloudWatch, right?
Uh-huh.
CloudTrail logs to CloudWatch. Like, are you aware like why we send CloudTrail to CloudWatch? Is there any specific reason?
Basically, to my understanding, is just to trigger the alarm or something like that, whether everything is fine or something. Preventive maintenance and whatever you say, trigger alarm and all this thing. Yeah.
Perfect, perfect. So in CloudWatch, we have many actions to do. Like we can restart the instances, or we can use Systems Manager, or we can trigger an alarm. So all these features are available. So generally, uh, almost every service is going to collect logs by using CloudWatch. So
Cloud.
we generally set log collection with CloudWatch, right?
Yeah.
So apart from that, yeah, ECS is one service which we can leverage in our DevOps to create containers and deploy our applications and maintain our workloads with the AWS managed service. And what are the important characteristics like ECS can handle cluster management and container scheduling and infrastructure provisioning and all. And also
Hmm.
ECS can be on EC2, ECS can be on Fargate. These are the flexible deployment models and highly scalable, one
Yeah.
container to thousands of containers effortlessly. So we also have many architectural components like cluster, task definition, and task. We can even run some specific task, services, and container agent, and all of this. These are the uh, like architecture components of ECS. And ECS can be launched on EC2, Fargate, and external type of launch. We can even do it on-prem as well. So AWS, if you want to, let's say, if you want to set it up on any of the on-prem, is it possible? Can we set
On-prem.
up? Yeah. Can we set up
Uh,
AWS
I
services
think
on on-prem?
I think if you go to those backup and all those things, I think we have that physical drives and all these things. So that way I have that understanding. But AWS on-prem, I think it may be possible for few services, but not exactly. I don't know in this context. What? Yeah,
So
maybe.
generally we have Outpost,
Yeah, Outpost, right.
AWS Outpost. AWS Outpost is one such service which is going to like we can leverage that service in establishing some servers or setting up some servers on-premise and
Uh-huh.
use AWS from on-premise itself. So in
Ah,
that way
right.
also we can use it, right? So these all are the highlights of ECS. Like we can even integrate IAM, VPC, and data encryption is also possible, right? Monitoring, just now we discussed in case of DevOps, in case of ECS, we leverage CloudWatch, we collect the CloudWatch logs, and we also have container insights like visual performance and all. So in CloudWatch, we have monitoring dashboards, right? So in monitoring dashboards, we generally see this visualized performance and all. So yeah, these are the real world use cases like e-commerce applications, gaming applications, SaaS and CI/CD pipelines, and IoT data processing and all. Apart from that ECS, we also have EKS, right?
Yeah.
So in case of EKS, so like whatever the Kubernetes workloads that we are actually using on-premise workloads, that can be easily migrated to AWS platform using EKS. So here we can get a managed control plane, and its the complexity can be reduced. And also in Kubernetes we have horizontal pod, CNI plugins, and all of these can be leveraged using AWS managed EKS cluster service, right? So this is about EKS.
Right.
Okay, so again, it's a managed service, and we have a control plane which is managed by AWS. We have worker nodes, network layer, IAM roles. So everywhere we generally come across IAM roles, right? IAM roles plays a prominent role in execution of automated tasks on behalf of a user, right? So in Kubernetes, again, we come across the term called pods, deployment, services, namespaces, and persistent volumes. All of these can be used, and we can easily work with this on EKS platforms as well, right?
Right.
Okay. So yeah, EKS on AWS, EKS on Fargate, EKS anywhere. We can even deploy this. We can work with EKS on even on-premise to get the native Kubernetes experience. And as mentioned, Outpost is also one of the service that is available in AWS to set up our clusters, or to when there is a compliance issue or when there is a requirement of data residency. In that case, we can go with AWS Outpost to deploy our EKS clusters on Outpost. Right. So these are the security best practices for EKS. We can use IAM, pod security policies, secret management, and private link, and all of this. Monitoring, again, CloudWatch comes into picture, AWS X-Ray, Kubernetes dashboard, and Fluent D, and all of this. Okay, so these are the steps for EKS cluster setup. So hope you mentioned you haven't worked on the CCS and EKS clusters, right?
Not from AWS side, only open source, just a
Open
bit
source.
of it.
So as a part of open source, you worked with COPS clusters or Kubedium clusters, or what kind of clusters you generally worked with?
Exactly. None of these I remember what I did. So basically, it was simple. I have written Docker file, push the image to EKS cluster on AWS. From there, just deploy it. That's it.
Okay, okay, okay. So again, ECR, any idea about
I
ECR?
I think so. I think so. ECR, I have used it. Yeah, right.
So
I mean,
ECR
that
can be compared with
yes.
which open source tool, open source platform?
This is basically I'm not sure at this moment. Yeah, Docker. Docker Hub. Yeah. Basically, correct.
So generally, using open source tools, we push the Docker images
Yes.
to Docker Hub. In the same way, we
Yes.
can even push the Docker images to ECR, Elastic Container Registry, where we can use this Docker images to create our EKS clusters or ECS. So all of these can be
Exactly,
possible
I did
within.
this way. What you are explaining, like, move to Docker Hub, and there are, all these steps, script. So it's just I ran it by doing it, understanding it. So yeah, exactly what you are explaining, I did it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So same thing like Docker Hub, like we can create a repository,
Yeah.
authenticate, push images, deploy containers on ECR, from ECR to ECS, EKS, and also we can work with Lambda and all of this, like authorized tokens, image scanning, registry permissions, and all of this. So we also have features like image scanning, image tagging, and image retention policies. All of these are available in AWS to use. And we also have cross-region replication for disaster recovery and all of
Mhm.
this, and monitoring. Again, we come across CloudWatch. So wherever we go, again, CloudWatch comes into picture in case of monitoring, right?
Yep.
Okay, so apart from that, yeah, these are the real world use cases, like how can we leverage AWS in case of DevOps. So there is a scenario, like there is a problem statement. Some startup company and they are facing slow deployment process and high infra cost. Okay, so in this case, we can leverage AWS. We have AWS Lambda, we have API gateways, and we also can build code pipelines for CI/CD automation and all. So in this case, a startup company can easily migrate to AWS to leverage all of these AWS DevOps tools for setting up CI/CD pipelines and all. And also we can reduce the deployment time from 2 hours to from hours to minutes, and we can even reduce the consumption of ideal resources from by 40%. And other use case, like we can say, there is a fintech enterprise company which is looking to secure and scalable solution for DevOps workflows. So in this case, we can leverage EKS platform, Elastic Kubernetes service, which is a container orchestration service. And also we can leverage IAM and guard duty for security. And also we can get up to 99.9% uptime with auto scaling and enhanced security and compliance. So these are the real world use cases where customers can use AWS to uh, leverage all of these services in DevOps. Right. So apart from that, like if we talk about AWS certifications, like what AWS certifications, if you're holding, like as you mentioned, you are working towards solutions architect, right?
Yeah, basically, yeah, that's why I got to know so many services. Yeah.
Yes. So have you gone through any of the course like available on the internet?
I have been looking into different courses, so it's just I'm practicing the question at this moment. So course part is, I think, over at this moment. So
Okay.
yeah,
So you are currently working on this certified solutions architect, and we also have
correct.
AWS DevOps Engineer Professional Certification, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So to like if you are aware of open source tools, we can even go with the AWS DevOps Engineer Professional Certification, where you work on all the AWS services and utilize these services to become a AWS specific DevOps engineer. And some
Mhm.
organizations are also asking for specific AWS DevOps engineer, and they are also looking for these certifications. So these two are like very important certifications as a DevOps engineer. And if we are looking towards AWS platform, these are the important certifications that we need to focus on. Apart from that, we also have many certifications like professional certification, associate level certification, and foundational and specialty level certifications. So from that, if our path is towards a DevOps engineer, we generally start our journey. If we want to learn everything from scratch, we generally start with a cloud practitioner. Then we go ahead with a sysops or developer associate. Then we
Mhm.
go ahead with the DevOps engineer professional. So generally, solutions architect associate certification is useful for becoming a cloud engineer or cloud solutions architect. But to become a DevOps engineer, generally this approach would be a great approach. Yeah, right?
Mhm.
So if we look at the DevOps certifications, as mentioned, like AWS certified DevOps engineer professional and Azure certified DevOps engineer professional, and also Google professional DevOps engineer certification. So these three are cloud
Right.
based DevOps certifications. And apart from that, trending DevOps certifications like Kubernetes certifications like CKA, CKAD, or CKS security certifications. And again, Kubernetes is again a vast platform where we have many things to learn about Kubernetes, right? And we also have HashiCorp Terraform Associate certification to get certified on infrastructure as a code tool. All right, we
Mhm.
can write this certification. So these all are demanding certifications in 2025 to become a DevOps engineer. And apart from that, we also have DevSecOps and security related certifications. So if we are gaining skills on security, then we can even become a DevSecOps engineer. So
Mhm.
hope you are aware of DevSecOps.
Yeah, from industry a bit of, yeah. Now basically they are more into
Apart from DevOps, it's again integrated with security part. So security is the
correct.
highest priority in today's
Yes.
market, right? So security is also very, very important. So we have integrated security with the DevOps. And yeah, so these are general resume tips for a successful DevOps engineer. First thing is like we have to well structure our DevOps resume, and it should be
Mhm.
properly formatted. And most of the resumes, like CVs which I observed, they don't have proper structure. They don't have proper
Mhm.
format. Like somewhere they use some font, somewhere they use some font, and like font size is somewhere it's 20, somewhere it's 12, somewhere it's 11. So everything we have to take care of DevOps CV format, and also highlight the DevOps skills. So generally, whatever the skill set that we have, like certifications, we have to definitely highlight these certifications to gain the attention of ATS, especially nowadays,
Yeah.
right? ATS, not humans. Earlier,
Yeah.
we used to gain the attention of humans, right? But nowadays, ATS, so everything is tracked by this ATS softwares and all. GitHub portfolios, generally, we don't maintain a GitHub portfolio. So it's very good practice to maintain a GitHub portfolio to showcase that
Mhm.
what all projects that we worked on. And networking on LinkedIn or some other like like job portals. This is also very, very important. And most of the applicants where I have seen, where I observed, is like they don't have proper network on LinkedIn, or they don't have proper accounts in various job portal platforms and all. And also live projects, whatever we do, that we generally share in our resumes and all. Interview preparation and HR technical, we have to concentrate on both to get a DevOps engineer role. And in
Mhm.
both the ways, we have to be very strong, right?